know if you can see it, you have lovely colors. हाँ ये plastic cups है and these are called menstrual cups. Yes, menstrual cups, accept it. So आज हम भारती से पूछेंगे कि बूंद जो organization है ये क्या करती है भारती?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me over. Boond is an organization that works in the menstrual health space. What we do is essentially we take menstrual health education to various communities across socioeconomic strata. So it could be a corporate office, with us sitting right here, or it could be a school in a nondescript village in Himachal or in Durgapur or anywhere. And we basically are trying to work towards enhancing the knowledge of girls and women and including men in the conversation about menstrual health and taking products to them as well. Yeah. So one of the products we take is the infamous menstrual cup that everyone is so scared about.
Okay, why is everyone so scared about menstrual cup?
Well, I guess from whatever we understood in the thousands of women we've spoken to, the fear of inserting something into our bodies is the first roadblock into using a menstrual cup. And again, the learning curve, it's not as easy as taking a pad and slapping it on our panties and just walking away, is it? So that's the biggest deterrent to using the cup, the fear of inserting something into our bodies. That is alien, that looks the way it does, that means that we have to put our fingers inside the vagina, pull it out, touching blood, the ickiness of, menstrual blood itself and the impurity associated with it. And all the blocks that we've conditioned ourselves for years and years, for generations, that we carry in our own genomes in some way or the other.
I don't believe actually that I'm talking on camera about panties, about blood, about vagina, about fingers inserting. I can't believe this, but it's so nice that I'm actually having this conversation with all of you. If I can introduce a little bit and give more introduction, we have Nishu, who is a user of the cup for the last 10 months.
A year now.
A year now, yeah. We have Anagha, who has used it and she does not okay with it. We have Iti, who's not used the cup. And you have me, who it's been a cycle for me, yeah. So
and I've used the cup for over 4 years now.
Wow.
So
Success story.
Yes.
So Nishu, can you just explain that what made you buy the cup? And
So I've always wanted to, whatever I do in life is to make myself feel good, make my life less complicated. And when I read about the cup, I knew that something like this existed. I just knew I had to get it for myself. Second, it's environmental friendly. I mean, आज के ज़माने में अगर आप किसी तरह contribute कर सकते हो, तो I would definitely do that. And I don't regret one bit going, cupverting from pad to the menstrual cup. It's been a year now, and I'm not kidding. There have been days when I have forgotten that I'm on my period, and it's liberating. It's the most amazing thing that has happened to me since I started chumming. And I'm extremely proud to have been using it for more than a year now, and I intend to tell everyone around me that yes, just go ahead and buy it for yourself.
#cupvoting.
Cupvoting, yes. Ananda, what's your story?
So I tried it a couple of months ago, probably 8 months ago, I guess. So I guess, okay, wow, I've never spoken about this. Maybe in June, I went to my gynecologist and she told me that I have a genetic sort of disorder. I don't like saying disorder, but it's a thing. Something called adenomyosis. So it's where your uterus is sort of shaped a little weirdly and then you bleed out a lot. So I used to use pads literally by the half an hour. So, and 2 pads at a time. So I would bleed out so fast and I was always scared of leaking and it was just insane. So my gynecologist asked me to get the menstrual cup.
Lovely.
So I did try it, maybe in July, I guess, so after a month. It was definitely scary. I was terrified. I'm sure so many girls are terrified, right?
Everyone is.
Yeah. Because I guess it's also because I don't really work much down there. So it's so unnatural to put something there. But I did try a lot and it was really painful in the beginning.
Yes.
So I sort of gave up in that first cycle. So I never really went back to it because I was like, oh, this is so painful. Maybe it's because I have this problem with my uterus. So I was feeling really insecure as well.
Yes.
So now that after 6-7 months, I've been on like pills and stuff like that, so my uterus is much better and my health is much better. So I guess, I really want to give it a go again because I've just heard so many amazing stories about it. So, and I feel like it'll really help me with my adenomyosis as well, because I've heard how bad pads are for your body
Yes.
because of all the chemicals and
Toxic.
stuff. Toxic, yeah. And I mean, if you already have something wrong happening inside, you don't want to like fuel it with more chemicals. Like that's just so dumb.
True.
So, and this is like really nice and natural, I've heard.
Yes.
That's good.
How about Iti? You are not a cup user.
No, not
and
at all.
you're really young.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm hemophobic, and I've always feared blood. Not even when it started, even when my jump started, I couldn't like see it happen, and I would have a headache or I would faint. And eventually I have an elder sister, so she introduced me to this.
Yeah.
She told me if this would be much easier for me and much more reliable instead of seeing blood oozing out all the time.
Yeah.
But then I did think of giving it a shot, but the idea of how to use it,
Right.
whether it'll be safe or not,
Yeah.
would I be able to do it, and what is the correct age for me to
Right.
start with it?
Yeah.
So things like that,
Right.
which I wasn't sure of.
Right.
That was about it. Hence I haven't tried giving
Completely
it a
understandable. Completely.
So-
Maybe I just talk a little bit about what I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
with
yes,
each and
yes,
everyone's
absolutely.
responses. So what Nishu's experience generally is a normative experience in what we observe in terms of women trying to sort of cupwort, and they're very enthusiastic about trying it for various reasons, predominantly beginning with environmental and health reasons, and maybe not so much for us, but a lot of people also look at the economics of the cup, right? And I mean, I keep joking about it, but then through our menstruating life, we spend close to about 1.5-2 lakhs. Depending on the pads we buy. Of course, we can spend 50,000 rupees. We can very well do a trip somewhere really fancy and come back, right? So that and the way someone's, every time we get calls and messages saying that the way I menstruate has changed, and it's changed my life, right? And we have like 1 million people to thank for that, because we're not the first company to do something like this, and we're not even a company. We have predecessors, and the first cup came into existence in 1937.
Wow.
The first patent
Really?
for the
Oh.
by this American
Okay.
actress called Leona Chalmers. And she had the first patent, which was made of rubber, of course, and there's been a revolution in silicon, and hence we have silicon-based products, right? And a lot of women, ever since having tried, women, whatever you want to call menstruators, to be more politically correct, everyone seems to, feel very different while using the cup. But in contrast, when you do say your experience, particularly of trying the cup, this is also very common as well, and to everyone their own experience, right? And at Boon, what we're trying to do to our level best is to kind of bridge that gap to understanding our own bodies and helping people to try to use the cup, right? And like you said, you don't like calling it a disorder, right? You don't like to associate what, how we bleed and how we look at it. And this is predominantly because the way I feel in general, science has looked at menstruation is not too much of a so-called important issue to research very much. Like, to give you a small example, a lot of us don't know how much we bleed. Any guesses here? How much we bleed during our cycle? How much? Any gauge, like a spoon?
3 teaspoons.
Not bad at all. You're very, very close to it, like close to about 5 teaspoons of blood, and that's and this is contested as well. And why is it contested? Because you said you've been diagnosed with adenomyosis.
Yeah.
A zillion people living with endometriosis, PCOS, and none of us even know about it. And the way we bleed with every stage of our life, every menstrual cycle is very different, and the average is about 30 to say 100, not even 100, 80 ml.
I didn't even know that I was bleeding way more than other girls.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I had no idea. I started bleeding when I was like 12.
Yeah.
So I didn't know until 10 years later, which is like I can't even like believe it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
But it's so important you bring it up, the way in which you brought it up, that one is you might not be okay with using the cup, and that's also perfectly okay. And you might be, or you might be somewhere wanting to try, just with all your fears. And every experience is so valid, and we need to work around it. Many times we hear people say that you're a cup user, so you are a spine cup user. You should have the courage and the will to do it. Only then you'll see yourself through it, right? And that language is a little problematic in some way. And which is why we have our helplines on, and we want to help people, at any time. We have calls from students at like 2 in the night from their toilets, or like in the college somebody is just calling randomly and I'm like, okay, pick up the phone. But now we've stopped taking calls in the middle of the night a little bit for personal reasons, but nonetheless we're doing our best in that way. But with disorders specifically, the research around menstruation is so for example, we're the only species that bleeds as much as we do, for as long as we do, and as often as we do. It's a complete waste of our nutrients, and even today we treat it as waste. There are a zillion people who treat it so differently. Like for example, Sonal in our team, she uses the blood to kind of nourish plants. There are people who harvest stem cells from menstrual blood, and of course that's a bigger process. You have to go to a stem cell bank. The others who uses it as a medium of art and paint away so beautifully, right? And with someone like you who's probably hemophobic, right, and you feel very scared looking at blood, this might be slightly difficult for you, because sometimes you might have a droplet of blood or so in your hand, right? And it's a process, and I'm sure if you want to engage with it, we're right here to help. I can connect you with other people who've also been very scared of blood.
But what would be the right age, as in
Sure.
for the teenager? How would a teenager know that okay, it's the right age to use
Because
it?
if I can add to that, I've heard, I'm not sure, I've heard that girls who are sexually active, it's easy for them, maybe like a certain age when you are married, but it's difficult for younger girls because your hymen is not ruptured and you are not sexually active. So so continuing.
Sure. Let me address that in 2 ways. The first thing is that, to begin with, at Boon and many other organizations, we have people who use the cup irrespective of where they are in their menstrual age. So right from 13 or 11 to about 50, till they're premenopausal. And to address the question a little more further, if someone is comfortable with using the cup, they understand their body, they're explorative, and they want to give it a shot, anybody can try this. So as teenagers, we have young mothers who come to us and say, I want my daughter to try it. And the daughter is like, no, I don't want to try this. And we have young daughters come to us and say, please convince our mothers. Right? Because they're still young, they want to make decisions in consensus with their families or with their other stakeholders. And it takes some time for them to learn it. But some teenagers, oh my God, like they're firecrackers. They call and they figure it out like faster than I have. For sure, I can speak for myself. I've taken a longer time to figure it out, and my own body. And they somehow just using the cup for these young girls as young as 13, 14 helps them understand their bodies
better.
Like the way my body is on the inside, I now know because the cup I wouldn't have probably otherwise, right? And whether you've had sex or not, right, our vaginas are very elastic, right? And imagine, and the question of the hymen, a lot of us are born without the hymen, the chastity. A lot of we have a non-existent hymen when we're born. Some of them have a myth. Some of us have a hymen, and it can stretch because of any goddamn thing. Like you can run, you can walk, and
cycling and
split. You don't even have to do something as strenuous as just walking or like climbing, swimming can do it. So the point being that the connection we have towards sex and the hymen is again like an enforced conditioning of patriarchy, and we've been buying into it. Everything, literature, art, music, everything talks about it in some way or the other. And we're trying to talk about that also with the cup, so insert whatever you want, I guess.
Alright, so we have like 6 different colors here and our respective cups. So can you please, I'll take my favorite color.
Yes.
Because it's bright. So, okay, so if you can hold it and if you can tell the audience that how does this work?
Okay. So I'm going to like really simplify this. Okay, so it's very simple. All one has to do is buy the cup, of course. Most cups come with an instruction manual. I urge you, before you try using the cup, feel your bodies if you're not really aware of where your pee hole is and your vagina is and your anus is. The reason I say this is the number of, and not just in villages. Like the misconception is that many women in villages don't know that they have 3 different orifices. And that's not true.
I did not know that the pee hole and vagina were different.
Yes, exactly.
I got to know it like 2 weeks back when I...
Really?
Yeah, when I read Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, the first hole is a pinprick of a hole, right? It's just where we pee out of. And the systems inside are so unique and separate. It's just really packed together and they're connected by muscles together. That's about it. So just understand yourself. Take a mirror if you have to, look at yourself. Or look at whatever else you want. There's a lot of content out there for you, right? And the key to using the cup are two things. One is trying to keep ourselves really relaxed because we're doing it for the first time. Two is keeping your hands very clean. And by meaning hands very clean, make sure your hands are clean of the soap and not just washing your hands vigorously well, right? And just pop this in water, boil it for like 5 minutes. And particularly this boiling is also, different people have different views on it. Because we live in India, as a precautionary measure, we would request everyone to boil the cup for about 5 minutes. Take it with the clean hands and make yourself comfortable. Now there are various positions to do this. You can sit and spread your legs, sit in the pot, or sit in the Indian closet if you have to. Put one leg on the bed and one leg down, whatever works. Some people actually lie down flat and do it. Okay. Yeah, I've heard that as well. So to each their own, right? And there are various ways to fold it. I won't go into the technicalities of, oh, this is a C fold and, all of that. But fold it in a way that you feel is comfortable and creates a smaller apex. Okay. So I normally do something that's like this. Okay. And either ways, whether it's big or small, use the edge, the edge here. And if this is my vagina, the intritus, I shall push the edge and you will start feeling the vagina expand.
Opening,
Okay, and you will find room. Some people mostly feel pain at the entrance. So as soon as you enter, the pubic bone is towards your nose. And when you graze that is when most of us feel some discomfort. And this pain and discomfort is also very subjective, right? A lot of people feel it, a lot of them don't feel it. I didn't feel it whatsoever. And the first time I put it just went in. Poof. Yeah, I was like, wow, I'm so smart. I know how to do this.
Wow,
right?
Yeah.
And but I had like a lot of issues removing it. So this just goes in and it creates a suction and sits right beneath your cervix, which is through which blood comes into and blood collects here. So average cups hold anywhere between 18 to 25 ml, right? This holds about 20. Either way, so it doesn't matter. So you should be able to collect blood in this without anything being affected in your system because it's made of an inert material. So not as this affect the environment, the vagina, not as a vagina affect the cup. So that's the best part of it because the pad interacts, the tampon interacts, everything interacts. And this is the best material we have in that sense. Put this in, blood will collect. Don't keep it for more than 10 to 12 hours. We don't want any sort of bacterial buildup. And trust me, I have done this and I don't want to really confess this, but I've kept it in without realizing that I've kept it in because I forget I'm on my period. It's that sense of, liberation in some sense.
So you don't feel it inside at all?
No, you're not supposed to feel it. The key to understanding you inserted the cup properly is you're not supposed to feel a thing. You're supposed to be able to walk, run, do whatever you want and not know that there is this foreign object inside your vagina.
It might sound really silly, but
No, there's nothing silly.
while you've inserted it in, can you still pee?
Very much.
Yeah.
So when I start speaking about the different holes and exploring your body, the pee hole is the first hole when we're sitting this way, right? And they're all, the internal wiring is very, very different. So imagine they're plumbing lines and they're all distinct. They're just very close to each other. So this on the inside, the vagina is in turn connected to the cervix and the uterus. So there's no connection to the pee hole again. And the anus is
But it doesn't affect the whole cup system?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
That's interesting.
Yes, you can pee, you can poop, you can do literally anything you want to do with the cup inside you. And the removal is also fairly simple, but I struggled with this. The first time I put it for 4 hours, I was like huffing and puffing. What do I do? Back then nobody was really there to advise me and I had to learn by myself. So you just put your finger in. For some people, they won't find it. And this is something that they feel. The first question people ask me is, will it get lost inside you?
Yeah.
Right? Will it go somewhere inside? I'm like this anatomically.
Like one day you just find a menstrual cup and like, what?
And that's not possible.
Yeah, anatomically not impossible, right? So it goes in and it cannot go beyond the cervix. You can be guaranteed. And if you don't feel it, call us. Call anybody you know who's used the cup, right? You can feel it. All you have to do is bear down your muscles because all the pelvic muscles are connected. Like how you go to the toilet, you poop. So once you do that and if you can't feel it, slightly put that pressure and the cup will ride down. You will be able to feel it and you will be able to press it, break the suction, take it out. Use the blood however you want or throw it if you have to and reuse it. Just rinse it, insert. It's actually simple, but the key to it is understanding the technique for yourself.
Yeah,
It's such
it
an
works.
intuitive process. Everyone works very differently, right? Like I might tell you 10,000 times is to fold it this way, put it this way, but you have to figure it out for yourself.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Even after I started using it, I was like telling everyone that you should get it, you should start using it. And we used to discuss. I watched like a million videos before I tried it on.
Right.
And all like I think I've converted 4 of my friends and everybody had very different experiences. Once it got lost, she dropped it in the bottle. Like, oh shit, I've lost my.
Me
my box. All those things do happen, and I think after a couple of cycles, you get to know your what, like you said, what works for you. So I also had like a lot of trouble pulling it out the first time. I'm like, okay, not a good decision, but it took me like half an hour to
Understand
Must be
your
like great for travel and stuff, right?
Yeah, so
brilliant.
Yeah.
menstruators who in general not just travel but do like really adventurous travel, trek,
Not
stay in the
like-
wild and
yeah.
stuff like that, prefer the cup because all they have to do is empty it, and even if they don't have access to water,
Yeah.
because this is a very low resource material, right? Like if you're carrying the pad or underwear, you have to constantly keep washing, you need a lot of water, you need a safe space to do all that. Here you're doing your business even in the wild, just take it out, empty the blood right wherever you are, and then just put it back in. Even if you can't clean it, as long as your hands are clean, it's fine.
Right.
So it works brilliantly, and for swimmers, and for people who do yoga, right?
So for me, I was like really scared because Nishu actually converted me, and I'm converted.
Yeah.
Hashtag comfort.
Hashtag yes. So I have a very interesting story. I think I shared it
Yes.
with you all. I got the package from Bond, and I just looked down. There it was. I was like, okay, it's a sign. I'll just do it. And before that, I had only heard about cups from Nishu, and I had not seen a single video. I had not read about the anatomy of the female body. I had no idea that we have 3 holes. So I was reading, and I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And I inserted, and I was crying. All I did was I was crying for half an hour. I said, I'm dead. I'm gone. It's the last day on planet Earth.
Why did I put this
Like,
silicone
why?
beast
Like,
inside
why?
me?
I mean, it's not happening. Let me just take it out. Let me go back to the good old pads. So that's what I did last Friday. Yeah, last Friday. And then Saturday, I'm like, okay, now that I'm at home, let me just try. If I die, I'll die at home. So I tried on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I was like, yeah, like it's like even there. Okay, wash, throw, done. It was good.
Yeah.
And
Like
it
you
was
literally can't feel anything.
no, initially what happened was because I inserted for the first time, and I was learning the C fold and the other fold, so this was hurting me,
Still touching.
Yeah, it was touching. Probably I didn't insert it well, but
Right.
after that I was like, okay, contract, and then just went up. I'm like, okay, fine.
Okay, cool.
So there are various ways to do that. Like the point being, the cup needs to be inside of you. It shouldn't be probing out of the vulva anywhere. It can irritate you, and that's when the discomfort begins. But even as you inserted it, you're not sure if it's inserted properly. Just jump, take a couple of squats, sit on the bed, just walk.
it's
Like
fine.
something, it will find, because it's so elastic, like the vagina is. It will take its own shape.
Is it similar to a tampon?
So it's very different from a tampon. The only similarity is that the tampon also goes inside the vagina.
Oh.
The tampon absorbs blood. This collects blood. Fundamentally, so different, because the minute you absorb, it starts interacting with everything, affects the pH of the vagina, can lead to something that is potentially very dangerous called the toxic shock.
Yeah.
And so many other things. And the feeling of the dryness of your vagina when you use a tampon and you pull it, it goes in very thin, like
Sore.
It's painful.
Have you used it?
Yes, I've used everything, which is why when I knew this existed, I was like, what the hell I've been waiting for? Why did I not know about this earlier? And
Yeah.
wasted so many years using pads and
But
everything.
this you have to insert it way more than you have to insert a tampon, right? Or is it the
No,
same?
It's the same. So
Okay.
if this is your normal height is about 4 inches and
Okay.
2 inches in diameter, an average. So this would go in, and for some people, based on where your cervix is, because our hormones are very different, we're all very unique, it can go right up or right down, and it will take its own place. All you have to ensure is that it's inside you.
Right.
The rest, it can just stay like right at the entrance or settle down wherever it feels comfortable based on that. But by the way, when you'd call me and you were narrating your story, right?
Yeah.
I was like, where is this story going to go? Because we have so many people calling us and telling us that we had such a bad time, and I was like starting to feel anxious. But you ended it in such a high note. I was so happy.
Yeah, she's like, I use it on Sunday, Monday.
So one more thing, and I heard this from a lot of my friends. They get really excited when the cup arrives, and they want to insert it right then, even when they're not chumming.
Right.
So that I'm not sure. I don't think that's a very good way to use it for the first time. Or I think it needs to be lubricated enough for it to go up. Or is it a good idea to maybe try inserting it even when you're not on your period?
So what we say is that if as a menstruator you feel comfortable inserting the cup, irrespective of your period,
Okay.
you may do so.
All right.
But when you do so without your period, do expect that it's not going to be as lubricated as it is on your period. But a lot of people do. I've done it like I've tried like cups from all over the world. I've done it like a zillion times without not being on the period. But of course, I knew how to do it by then. But we've had lots of people calling and saying we do it the first time without our period because they want to get a sense of having tried it before their period, so they feel comfortable then. So it's to each their own. Right, and sometimes some people just use water as a lubricant.
Okay.
Some people buy these lubes that they buy for sex,
yeah.
water-based lubricants. KY jelly, whatever is available in the market these days, and use it. Don't use coconut oil. A lot of people, tend to use oil because oil tends to corrode silicone. Right, so that's one thing that I would not recommend. But apart from any oil for that matter, but everything else should
I was
work.
just thinking, like my mom had adenomyosis as well, and she had like a very severe version of adenomyosis. And she had it for 15 years, and it was completely misdiagnosed. Like no one realized until like a year ago, and she had to remove her uterus.
Right.
And she's only she's only 43. Okay, that's just insane to me. Like you're removing a uterus before you even reach menopause. So I was just thinking, and she's used pads all her life, and maybe tampons towards the end. She was. I feel like if she had used the menstrual cup, if she had even known about it, I don't know whether the disease could have affected her as much as it did.
So I can say one thing for sure from what you're saying is that there definitely is a pathogenesis between use of pads and our reproductive health or menstrual health. For example, cervical cancer and stuff like that. There's this organization called Women's Voices of the World, which does a lot of research, not just about pads, but like any product that's there for women, particularly cosmetics, so on and so forth, as to what goes into it, and we don't know what goes into it, right? And you just take a packet of pads, look behind. We buy products all the time, and we're not told as a consumer what goes into making it, and that's really scary. Right, and they've done this research to understand what are the potential toxicants that can be there, and this is a list of toxicants. Some of them are reproductive toxicants, some of them are carcinogens. So in some way, what you're saying, the fear is very valid. I would feel the same way. Right? There definitely is some indirect pathogenesis, but just because we've not done enough research.
Yeah, and also everyone is so more accepting of pads than they are of anything to put in inside. Even if you say tampons, people are like, what?
How do you
tampons?
What's inside?
So I mean, it's one of those things that we need to break as well. But yeah.
Right, so quickly I'll just take the questions here. A lot of people are commenting. Are there different cup sizes? Rasika Venkat asks.
Okay. So various people sell different cup sizes, and that they predominantly do it as two sizes. One is for those who've given birth, and one for those who haven't given birth. What we've understood is that the minute you start complicating sizes, right, it's difficult they buy the first size and then they feel like it's fitting or not fitting and they're not sure. They think they're not using it right, and then they buy the next size, right? From our experience, we've understood that from teenagers to premenopausal women, everyone seems to be fitting a certain size. Like condoms come in one size, right? Or you might have extra, whatever, right? Like whatever. But in terms of girth and all of that, we fit one particular size. And what we're trying to do is that we understand there might be some unique cases where women or menstruators will not be able to use the cup, but that's a bargain we're willing to take.
So Rasika also has another question. How helpful is the menstrual cup for people with PCOS?
Oh, we've had varying ideas about it. For example, Sonal on our team, she's someone who lives with PCOS, and for her, she says cramps is something that comes down, and this is something that's being documented in very anecdotal terms with a lot of users. Say 40% of people that we know feel like cramps come down, and for example, you have a pain in your hand. What do? You tend to, ferment it with heat, you tend to press it a little bit, and you feel a little soothed. understanding is that the suction pressure that this cup produces inside your body kind of counters the contractions the uterus does. I mean, the blood comes out of our bodies because, you know, the uterus is literally working its ass off to, you know, literally push the blood out. So in some way, maybe there is like this connection, and because we don't study so much about all of these things, we're hoping we're small game changers there. We're really hoping, yeah. But and women with PCOS, because they want to monitor their blood, they want to feel and understand their menstruation a lot more, right? It does seem to be working a lot more better for those who live with PCOS.
Okay, Sonal, the comment is not here right now, but Sonal wanted us to rearrange the cup because she wanted to see all the colors.
Oh, sure,
so
Sonal.
there you are. Yeah.
These are all the same sizes.
Yes, these are all the same.
So Garima Singh Dio asks us, how long should you use one cup?
Okay, technically a cup should last a menstruating lifetime or much more. Technically, because the material is such that it can, there is something called an elastic limit of silicone.
Hold on, it can last an entire life?
It should last an entire menstruating life at least.
That's so awesome.
Theoretically, right? But we're not sure because we've not really seen how many cups, and it also has become a so you know, you buy a cup once. So imagine the organization that works to sell a cup, not just here but all across the world. They have to pay a heavy price to acquire one customer. So a lot of them say like, oh, use it for 3 years, use it for 5 years, use it for 10 years. But definitely we can say with confidence that you can use it for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, as in use it as long as there are no holes in it.
As long as you don't, as long as you don't lose it or you don't put it in the pot.
It doesn't go up.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
lost.
Yeah, it gets lost.
It's lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Sonal Jain asks us, what about cups with stalks and no stalks? How does one choose? What stalks?
So a lot of cups come with like a ring, a long stem, stalks. Okay, now these are just designs that different people, you know, feel comfortable having and not having. Essentially, a stalk in terms of design has no functionality for the cup to function. But it has been designed for women to feel like they can grasp it.
Yeah, I just feel like it is like less stressful.
So different people. The point is, when I tried cups with a stalk, I felt that it was irritating my labia.
Yeah, because even when I used it, I thought that this was like out and that was really painful.
Imagine it had a whole stalk.
Yeah, then you
So it'll be long. Yeah, so a lot of people cut it, they navigate it. But because at the end of the day, all you have to do is hold it here, pinch here, and not there. This is just like for us to feel like we can feel the cup.
You're supposed to pinch the end of it and then pull it out. So
this is just for you to feel the cup.
Okay.
The knob normally or the stem is for you to understand where the cup is.
Yeah.
But you basically have to move beyond it, punch it, or put your finger this way, essentially break the suction.
I think that's
And
where
then
I also went wrong. Because like I did try putting it in once. And it went in and then it didn't open up right.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my god, I'm dying. And then I tried to take it out. Except I pulled it from the knob.
Oh,
So it was like,
oh please.
That would
Like,
be
no.
painful.
And how would you even know that you shouldn't do that? It's like,
Please don't pull it from that side, because what you need to do is it's going to try pulling your cervix along.
And then like
Doesn't the blood tend to ooze out like as soon as you try to break the suction? Like while you're taking it off, doesn't blood or like ooze out?
So one thing is there's no room for it to ooze out. Like the first thing, supposing the cup is full, right? And I'm pulling it, this is my vagina, I'm pulling it out like this. I press it, it cannot really like overflow. Okay, there might be a few drops that might fall from here into the closet. That's about it.
Alright.
The kind of splashes we imagine don't really happen.
how much does it usually like fill up? I mean, I'm just wondering. maybe
Sure. So from what I understand about the first day, we bleed a little lesser than the other days. So that's about 5 ml or 10 ml. Okay. The second day is a little more, so say about 15 to 20 ml. The third day, some people again it can be higher, say 5 ml or 10 ml. So that's about it.
Right. Okay.
Right, Garima also has another question. There are two cups I have heard of, one pre-pregnancy and one post-pregnancy. Does one really need to change their cup post-pregnancy?
No. Please try your cup before you even buy another cup. Please don't buy another cup whatsoever unless and until you're sure this cup is not working for you. But from what I understand, if you give your body enough time to heal, your vagina does come back to its original size and shape. So the cup that existed before should work.
But what is the difference between
So we understand that they make the circumference of the cup slightly bigger, and when I mean bigger, we understand that if this is about 54 mm, it'll be like 55 mm.
Okay.
Or 56 mm, but not more than that. Like in terms of their sizes of size pre-pregnancy and post-pregnancy.
There are also I read this like before 30 years of age and after 30.
So the assumption is before 30 you don't give birth and then also.
So is it just easier to insert it after you have had a child, or?
No, so I from what I understand, and a lot of people I know who understand it, is that there is no correlation.
Then one.
We sense there is a correlation between feeling more confident and feeling more having the identity to express yourself sexually or otherwise after having used a cup, because now you know your body a little better and you're able to say things more confidently, but we're not sure if that correlation works whatsoever.
So Vashita Mundra asks, what kind of packaging does the cup come in?
Okay, so we want to go as minimal as possible, and a lot of organizations also work this way, is come in a recyclable or cleanable bag that's breathable. You can make your own pouch itself. It comes with a cup and a manual, and that's about it.
I love reading the manual. It's so great. Like, I love how it's so like step by step and it's so detailed out. Yeah.
And you can wash this also and keep reusing it over and over again.
Super cute.
Yeah, thank you.
So Rasika also says, Bharti Kannan killing it. If I didn't already have 2 Boond cups, I'll buy it just based on your eloquent and precise explanation.
Oh my God, Rasika.
Thank you so much.
And there's so many colors, I know I can
like,
use the one that I have for maybe now you said for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Buy the others.
You know you want like other colors. You're like, today's Sunday.
Yeah.
We've heard cups which come with sparkles, which are multicolored.
Wow.
Okay, moving on.
So the idea being that there's a much more positive association with menstruation, and you're literally like how you buy a earring or like your own clothes. It's that personal, which is a great way to look at your period, I guess.
Hey, Garima also has another question, last one. It's okay, Garima, you can actually ask, it's fine. What is the difference between a cup from Boond and a cup from Eva?
Okay, so I'm not sure where Eva cup is from, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But I'm sure it's also a silicone cup and a slight design difference. That's about it, I guess. I can look it up and get back to you.
It will also, Rasika also. Rasika has a lot of questions, how nice. Rasika, she says, it will also be helpful to highlight any precautionary measures and or limitations that cupwares or new adopters need to be aware of.
Okay, so one important thing is to understand that there is a learning curve involved with using the cup, and it's very important to understand this because you think you'll buy the cup today and you have to use it today. Many people take anywhere between 2 to 3 cycles to use the cup, and there are some studies that go on to show that they've compared use of tampons and pads with using the cup, and they've taken various parameters, a psychometric test of sorts, to understand their wear, their comfort, their insertion, removal, and all of those patterns. And then you see if you give yourself 3 to 6 months with using the cup, all the parameters skyrocket. Whereas with using a pad, it kind of plateaus completely. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to really, of course, understand that it's not easy. So, you can expect some discomfort, right? Or varying degrees of pain. I don't like calling it pain. I feel very uncomfortable calling it pain, but discomfort, yes, definitely. And the third is that the notion of virginity and the hymen that we already, did address, and what we think about it and how we want to look at our own bodies. Are we going to place value to a tissue that has no connection whatsoever with what we do, and then make our choice on using the cup, right? So these are the 3 major things. Apart from that, I see only pros all the way through.
I don't think
I'm biased, right? So listen to these guys.
Okay, we've spoken a lot about the cups and our body and everything else, but there's something that we women, I think, worry about is the environment, right? I'm pretty sure our family members, because that's what happened to me. I can speak about myself. My family members said that don't think about the environment, think about yourself. You're in it's like really don't like baat ka baad mein dekha jayega like that.
These are the people who complain about the like crap on the road also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just last week we were in Durgapur, Sonal and I, and we were talking to a bunch of school kids who were like 13-year-olds, 11-year-olds, having a riot in that session. And this science teacher is sitting there as well. And we're talking about, have you taught children about plastics and what happens with plastics, because pads are predominantly made of plastics. She looks at the children and she says, we've spoken about this, kids, that what we throw comes back to us in some way or the other. Through food, through what we wear, the air we breathe, the water we drink. And that holds true with pads as well. So I guess it's just that because we're not aware enough and we need to educate ourselves a little more to understand the kind of caustic and terrible consequences that not just pads but anything that is not sustainable and detrimental to using for the environment will only come back to us and affect our health more than anything else.
So a pad normally takes how long to degrade?
Yeah. So basically, if I have a child and the child has a child and the child has a child, much more. So 500 or 600 years to decompose.
And there are like
and just imagine, we are 5 women here, and we've used pads for at least
10 to 15
years of our lives, and 5 days each.
150 to 200 kilograms a year.
That's
easily.
Insane.
Which is not processed, which is not classified properly as what kind of waste it is, and we have no mechanisms to deal with it, right, whatsoever.
But I did hear of like organic pads and like all these new age pads that are coming up. Are those, what do you think about those though?
Okay, so we've tried a couple of these pads as well that claim to be made of banana fiber, and to a great extent they are, like 80%, 70% of it.
Yeah.
The problem with these pads are that it's still not 100% biodegradable, right? And we're not sure, like there isn't like a body to say, statutory body to figure out how long it takes, because the research that we do on this is still very pathetic and we need to really step it up as a society, right? So we're not really sure. But the problem with that is those pads, though they absorb blood, from my own personal experience, I also feel the pad crumbles faster and it kind of breaks down. So the experience we have with a normal sanitary pad, which is comfortable to some extent, is not the experience I've had, at least, with the biodegradable pads.
So there's something that I have for Iti. Iti, she did mention that, the blood that flows out from our body, do you know that it's used in jewelry?
What?
I did not know that.
She did say it, and I did not see any of you because she speaks so fast.
I'm sorry.
That none of us actually realized it.
Yeah, so they've they crystallize it, put it into like a pendant and stuff like that, or they use it for painting, predominantly for painting.
I want to wear my period blood.
Imagine
like check out my crystal. It's made out of me.
Yeah.
So this is for like probably people like you who are scared of blood. Maybe you can just have.
Wear it on your sleeve.
This was definitely an icebreaker. Like, I would definitely use
But I do
definitely
think
yellow one, yeah.
I do think like it takes time though. Like it's okay that it takes time though, because like even I'm like really scared.
But at least the convincing factor that it's okay to use it even before you've not being not had sex, or after, or while you're in your
Anytime.
teenage or early teenage later, whenever. Like.
So quickly, we'll take more questions. Oh, we have a man here, Kaushik Yana Mandaram.
Sup?
Hello. So he says that is the material of the cup recyclable after its end of life?
Okay, so silicon is a material that's a polymer of silica and oxygen. Silicon and oxygen. So essentially, you can just burn it, or you can just reuse the cup and make it like, if we have so many people using the cup, and we can talk about this more often as we are speaking about it, and everyone knows about it because nobody knows about it, we can have systems in place, and a lot of organizations are trying to develop these systems to just collect the cups, sterilize it, autoclave it, and do whatever you want with it, and make it into a sofa, or like make it into a table. You can literally recycle it.
Silicon is used into so many different things.
Yeah, right from like the kind of products that we use within our bodies, like contact lenses and breast implants, to like automobiles and cell phones and whatnot, like covers.
Like everywhere. Sonal Jain asks, Bharti, can you tell us about Crimson Wave?
Oh, sure. That's Sonal's pet project of sorts. So the Crimson Wave is a traveling art exhibition of bones. What we did last year on May 28th, which is the World Menstrual Hygiene Day, is we crowdsourced artwork from artists from all across the world on anything that's got to do with menstruation, in an attempt to talk and make conversations and discourses around menstruation common, right? So it could be on sexuality, on disability, it could be on purity of blood, or artwork with menstrual blood itself, which we call the Erythrean. And we had this compilation that's traveled a few cities right now, and we look to launch it very soon, so watch out for that as well. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask one question? Is it true that menstrual blood is impure?
Okay. So menstrual.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to know.
I have a tendency to get really scientific about it, but I'm going to like keep
Like,
it.
don't go to the temple, don't step in my kitchen, don't touch my pickle.
Yeah. Aren't we angry about it?
Just like, I want to eat pickle.
All right, I have a story here to share
Sure.
before you can.
Sure.
I started. Okay, I'm a little lost right now, but okay. So I had my periods, and my family members said that either you pop a pill, or we can postpone. There was a certain festival at home. So during my wedding, I actually took the pill, and just to postpone, because I was traveling and there was so much work and all, and I really suffered because something just came out of from my body, all right, and it was on the pad, and I you can see it, you know. I was literally wondering what is it, you know, just after marriage, and you just stop having the pill because you have to go to some mandir. And my husband told me, this is the first and the last time that you're having. I want my wife. I don't have anything to do with your blood flowing out. It's really fine. It's between you and me. So when we had a festival at home, and I had my date, I asked him that, is it okay if I sit in front of God and do the puja? And he said, just go ahead, it's between us. I still have the house, I'm still alive.
I mean, God gave you your period, so.
Exactly. We have the Kamakhya temple where it's closed for like 4 days in a year, somewhere in the month of June, July.
They celebrate menstruation. There's a yoni right there, there's a vagina right there.
Celebrate menstruation, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe you can.
Just to answer more specifically, without sounding very technical, our blood that comes out of our vaginas is almost the same blood that is in our veins. Except that the hemoglobin levels are far lesser. It's about 4 milligrams per 100 ml of menstrual blood that comes out. Actually, that quantum of hemoglobin or blood is nothing. Is so minuscule, but still we feel like there's a lot of blood coming out of us. To talk more, to talk more specifically about whether it's impure, it's not impure. It's just like any other body fluid that's coming out of the body, which needs to be handled and treated in a certain way, and we don't become dirty whatsoever because of that. We're not infecting anything. There's no contagion there. There is no bacteria or virus that's going to, like, I'm going to touch her and she's going to get it, or she's going to get whatever disease that we can, you know, fathom in our own heads and transmit that. That's not going to happen. The only thing that comes out with blood is all the water and the electrolytes in our endometrium, in our cervix, and in our vaginas that come out, which is just part of the process. Now, we don't know why exactly we've evolved, you know, do this way, like this. But that's what happens, right? And we're still learning, we're still figuring out why that happens the way it happens. But along with the egg, all of this comes, and it just needs to be treated okay.
So we have another question from Rishabh Jhol. In a country where menstrual hygiene discussion is such a taboo that it took 2018 for a movie such as Padman to come, what is the scalability and awareness of cups?
Okay, so that is a question that's very difficult to answer. We've started Boon with the hope that things will really scale up, right? Yeah. But having been in the space for the past 1.5 years, we do understand it's a Herculean task. And there are a few fantabulous organizations in India and abroad, and we need hundreds of these organizations to talk about this, considering the fact that we don't get space to talk about reusable products. There is somewhere a mafia or a lobby out there that's pushing for sanitary pads over and over again, because that's the way the world works, because it's capitalistic and consumeristic, and that's what propagates money over and over again. And yes, it's taken 2018 for a movie like Padman to come. It's a great thing that they talk about menstruation, and let's see what the movie has to say, because it's going to again in some way probably propagate a culture of let's bring a pad that's a solution for everything in the universe, right? So we're very fearful of that, and we need to be very careful to not reduce the conversation around menstrual health to just pads in some way.
And Bharti also told me that the blood that we collect, we can actually, a friend of yours, I think Sonal, pose it in her plants.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Fertilizer.
See, we actually missed that, but because she had already told me about it, I knew. So if you just can tell me, like blood in the pots.
Yeah, I read an article where this lady uses this for fertilizing a tulsi plant.
Yes.
So I was like, wow,
What?
way to go.
That's a friend we know as well, Laila Free
I read
Child.
this news. It was an interesting read.
Yeah.
Why
Plants tak to theek
And
hai,
saying
tulsi.
Tulsi has gotten her into a lot of trouble.
Probably because the blood has a lot of minerals and
It does. It's full of nutrition. At the end of the day, it's the same blood that's going to nourish a potential 9-month-old fetus,
Yeah,
like for
exactly.
fetus for 9 months.
If a baby can grow inside,
Exactly,
why
why
can't a
not a
tulsi grow?
plant?
So one of the analogies we use to address blood, the impurity of blood always is like the baby is growing on it, and the baby is going to come out. And are you going to say the baby is yucky?
Yeah.
No, it's the
No.
same
I
thing.
think people say it's kind of impure because it also comes from the same area where pee
Yes,
comes.
yes, exactly. It's so close to those orifices, so we
I
assume
never even thought
anything.
about this, but
Yeah, that's true.
It's not really my fault, is it?
It's not.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
So, do we have any more questions? Which color to buy?
I suggest the teal. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I like the teal one, but I ended up with the pink one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm really happy that I discovered it really early.
Yeah.
And also that the whatever I have was diagnosed also really early.
Yes.
So that I know that this is an option.
Yes.
It's so great to have options,
Yes.
to be honest, because it's like pads, especially some now that I'm living alone and stuff. I'm thinking, my God, one cycle I'm collecting like a bag full of pads, and then there it is sitting in my bathroom and smelling weird, and it's like you have to wrap it up in million newspapers, and then you're making so much waste. So much waste. And how do you dispose all this off?
Because
Once you throw it, you just don't think about it, but then there it is out there.
and also the dignity that we offer to people who work in the space of waste management is something that we have to be very conscious about. I mean, would we be okay picking someone else's pad? Right? Would we be okay picking up someone else's condom? How would we feel about it? And as it is, it's very dismal the way the whole waste ecosystem sort of works in the country, and we would try to do anything to kind of help mitigate that at an individual level. This is something that we can do at the individual level, because you control not just the sterility of the cup in your own hands, because that's very empowering. Right? Nobody's telling you that it's super clean. You can manage to keep it clean yourself and reuse it over and over again. I have one question to throw at you guys. Do you think our blood is smelly?
I had that question.
Smelly, maybe not the right word, but yeah, it has its own smell, which is often smelled
I
fine.
kind of realized this because it was my first cycle with the cub. When you realize that I was not smelling, my panty wasn't smelling after I started using the cup. Whereas because the moment you said that it was smelling in your bathroom, I kind of realized
Pads,
the blood on the pad.
Oh God, yeah.
It kind of really smells like
dude,
if I'm sitting here, I can smell myself.
Yeah, we can smell someone walk by.
There's something blue in your pad, right? Which is
That's
the chemical.
blotting paper. Right?
Everything there is a chemical.
But you know it's something really weird, and especially when the pad says scented so that you smell better. I'm sorry, but are you saying that I smell?
You smell bad?
Yeah.
Do I need scent? What the hell?
What is that? I don't understand why you have to pressure women into always smelling good
Smelling
or
good,
looking
yes.
good. I don't get that. I mean, I just want to not have cramps, and I just want to feel okay,
And just to add on to that, so anyone has had an iron tonic here? Yeah, and you know the smell of iron tonic. It smells of ferrous iron, right? that's how our blood actually smells.
Okay.
That's the way it's supposed to
I was
smell.
gonna say metallic.
Oh, yes.
Very
Yeah.
metallic.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the minute the blood comes out of our bodies, it starts interacting with, it gets oxidized.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that happens in exposure to air. And then it becomes a medium for growth of microorganisms. And because it's stuck on this medium that's already like, you know,
Full of
holding it
chemicals,
in
yeah.
place, right? And there's a lot of things that's happening at a very micro level. And that's what causes the blood to kind of smell like that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see if there are more questions. Somebody actually asked us, it's not showing here, but somebody actually asked us about TBE. Is there something?
TPE?
TPE? Is there something?
Okay.
Because I remember the question, but I can't see it right now.
Okay, so TPE is another material with which cups are made. It's called thermoplastic elastomer. We've not used it. There are some other organizations who have used TPE. I wouldn't be too educated to talk about TPE because we felt silicone is much more ubiquitous when we did our research, so we stuck to that. Yeah.
Are there any disadvantages to using the menstrual cup?
Not that I really know of, but on a very, very larger sort of philosophical question, the question of having to plug yourself up, right? It's maybe sometimes it's something that I do think about. Why do we really have to cover our menstrual blood or protect people from seeing the blood, right, in general? And I understand it's for convenience. You want to work, you want to travel, so you want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't want something wet down there all the time. And I think that's the only thing that I genuinely feel, because we've had like a lot of people running around with their blood just flowing through in as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sonal says, it's been so much fun watching this. Thanks and hugs for having me there virtually. Haha. Tomato plants love menstrual blood.
Done then.
All right. Rasika has the last comment. I promise. That's okay. The booth cup really helped reduce the cramps I used to get during my period.
Great.
So, thank you. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Power to you.
Kavya Menon says, Artava Yanam 2017 campaign went all around Kerala this December, talking about periods, its social, environmental, political and health aspects, and so happy that we are having this conversation. Love you, Bharti, Sonal and the White Box Live team.
So Kavya is a friend and she's doing some phenomenal work in Kerala, taking menstruation taboos and sustainable menstruation to various places that we can't fathom. We're still trying to get to everyone's working in their own niches. So it's great that Kavya's doing what she's doing. Yes.
Good luck to you, Kavya. I think we can wrap because no more questions coming in, and I think our questions are done.
Yeah.
Tanvi? Yeah?
Yes.
Done. All right. Thank you very much, Bharti.
Thank you
for
so much
coming.
for having me. Thank you.
Such a fun, open discussion.
Yeah, like
I love
Doing
it.
this, honestly, I mean, my life has been changed because of
We've
Cup,
fallen-
and just thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you. We've fallen on the shoulders of giants who've done this before, and we're just taking the work a little more forward. That's about it.
I'm very thankful that Nishu actually comforted me. Thank you so much. And I hope that two of you, someone who's not there and someone who's just there, maybe
Convinced
yes, convinced.
enough.
Yeah, just to even give it a try.
Try,
Because,
yes,
Like,
yes.
that's where you start, right?
We're always there, so whenever you feel comfortable, 2 days down the line, 6 months
Midnight
down the line, yes.
How do I pull it down?
Get out here.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching this. It was wonderful that we had this discussion, and I hope our team, the White Box team, and Bharti has comforted you. I don't know. We'll see it in your
Comforted.
next
Crossed,
cycle.
fingers crossed.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.